Okay, what up? What up? What is up? Awesome, awesome. Yes, it's been a long time since I've done a retrospective review, but finally, Richie Rich has returned back to movie reviews. So before we even touch on this review, the reason I'm doing it like this, so audio, no video is, and another reason is like you don't know, you should, like me and my good YouTube amigo, my YouTube brethren, my YouTube brother GQ Jamal in the house. Or he's in his house, but like he's here, like spiritually. We have a podcast that we started last year as well, and it's like we were doing a lot of like uh, again, a lot of retrospective looks at the music, the movies, the culture from back in the day as well. So now doing this like on audio, I believe I can even once this is put on YouTube, I can also put that on the Spotify Retro Brothers account. So I'll put all the links in the description to the Retro Brothers podcast. Definitely check that out. Check out my main man Jiku Jamal's channel as well. But yeah, that's the reason it's gonna be like this. So I'm gonna try my best not to cut this video, as audio, I should say, and just really speak live freestyle the way how we used to do it back in the day. So I just had to get a little sip of water as well. All right, so yes, this was the original house party that came out in 1990, right? So if you do go on my channel, RichManZ, the only one I've reviewed from this series was the one that came out in 1994, the House Party 3 film. You can go on my channel and check like what my thoughts are on that movie, but I will talk a bit about like how the series did move on after the first film. But we're just gonna really dive into like my honest thoughts on the first film, the impact that it made, and does it still hold up almost like 30 years plus as well. So be sure to definitely like, comment, share, and subscribe, and stay tuned. Hmm. Oh, I had to get a sip. Oh. Right, so yeah, so if we go back like in history, I always like to do this like with the retrospective like reviews as well. Growing up like in UK, London, England specifically, again, I was a kid in the 90s. I was born in the early 90s, and like I said, the biggest sensation of that era was Will Smith. Will Smith, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, DJ, Jazzy Jeff. They were really so popular. That series that came out, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, of course, which I've reviewed as well. Definitely check that out. That wave of the hip hop and also the fashion, the high top fade and culture, like really was so dominant. And even like just even looking at the photo, the picture I put for the main template or the house party photo as well. I just remember this time where people used to rock the high top fade. I unfortunately never had this as well. I always had like a zero or like a I had Jerry curls as well. So but we're not talking about my hair stuff as well. I remember this time when I was like 8, 9, seeing like guys back in London, England, rocking the high top fades, which is crazy. So from like why I mentioned Fresh Prince of Bel-Air specifically is with the creation of House Party, originally it was supposed to be Will Smith and DJ Jazzy Jeff as the protagonists of the original House Party film. They were actually contacted first, I believe, by New Line Cinema to be the main leads of the House Party series. The main issue was that DJ Jazzy Jeff and Will Smith at that time, they had made a record, or I believe it was I would definitely find if it's correct as well. It had to be either the second album as well. I believe the one with Parents Just Don't Understand. They actually used some copyright material, which is one of us YouTube, and it was actually extracts from Nightmare on Elm Street. This time in the 80s, Freddy Krueger was so huge, it became like a phenomenon. And they actually took some, I believe, some samples, some scenes, and included that in their music video. And I'm on my street, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Fresh Prince and DJ Jesse Jeff. So because of that, they got sued at that time, and I believe just even just some of the dealings as well. They just were not in a position to take on this movie, the first house party with New Line Cinema. And it just so happens when DJ Jesse Jeff and Fresh Prince were like on the rise, Kid and Play were just coming up as well. I believe Fresh Prince, Jesse Jeff, they got like a head start. Before again, like they had hits of girls, Will had hits of girls ain't nothing but trouble. Parents just don't understand. He was doing performances at Showtime Apollo. But Kid and Play were very like they were underground, but they were getting like kind of notoriety of doing a lot of tours. So a lot of times in the 80s, especially before this advent of social media, Kid and Play were on tours with Public Enemy, Queen Latifah. They appeared many times in the Salt and Pepper videos as like the background dancers. They were here and there, but it really wasn't until this year, 90s, where they were able to, I wouldn't say sub in, but they were able to replace Fresh Prince and DJ Judge Jeff, where they were just able to blow their careers. And honestly, even though it was really for sure, yeah, because honestly, when you look at Kid at Play's like success and their breakthrough, it really is from like the late 80s to maybe like the mid 90s. I feel like House Party 4 was just a real and I wouldn't say nail in the coffin, but it was really pretty much the end for Kid and Play, as I talked about, and we'll go in detail. The House Party film, the guy who directed it really acclaimed, and I think he sometimes gets underrated director. When they mention like the best black directors, they always go to like John Singleton or the Hughes brothers, or who's another one? Trying to think, the one who made how could I forget? Spike Lee. Yeah. So like they always mention them as like the main like top like directors, but like one was very good and especially really burst up in the nineties was Reginald Hudlin. Reginald Hudlin, who would do most films with his brother at the time and many projects together as well. He directed this. He directed a lovely movie that I love as well that came out 2 years after this, Boomerang. And he also directed. Yeah, let's see if we pull up his. Boom. So original Hunting, he directed. Yeah, Boomerang. He also directed the Great White Hype and Ladies Man's. But he is really Huspipe Boomerang, which was really cool because these are like one of the for no, you're gonna say first movies, but one of the movies that had like an all black cast and story worked, the jokes worked, and the story was very good as well. This is one of the good things that House Party and Boomerang have. It's just that the stories are very is that they both had like a great all-star cast as well, and that's one of the big highlights of the first house party is that the amount of brothers and sisters that broke out from this movie is outstanding, and I'll even run through them. So, as I mentioned, Kid and Play, Christopher Kid, Reed, Christopher Play, Martin. Pretty much like in this film, they're basically just playing themselves. Obviously, I don't think. I think this was possibly their first like any acting gig whatsoever. If you want to count their music videos before their appearances like and maybe in Showtime Apollo, but like actually like acting, this is their um first movie role. And they do actually a good job because pretty much they're playing themselves. Kid is basically the gullible, nerdy, sometimes maybe not so confident guy, and where Play is basically the yang to it. He's like the ladies' man, he's narcissistic, super confident and together they gel out together as Kid and Play as well. And I love that because uh, Fresh Prince, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air basically did the same thing with Will Smith. Will Smith was basically playing Will Smith in that series as well, and it was really nice when you see these two groups, like you could say Kid and Play and Didi Judge the Jeff and Fresh Prince, who were basically considered like the happy hip hop at this time because rap culture and just like a lot of music genres, it's within one. genre, but there's so many different styles and different ways how the music and also the artists perform as well, different styles as well. For example, of course, uh, the rappers such as like Snoop Dogg, Wu-Tang Clan, Tupac Shakur, Ice Cube, NWA, they won another kind of category within the hip hop rap culture, which is kind of more gangster rap. Whereas I always felt like in play, you can even toss maybe Vanilla Ice and MC Hammer in there, who are more like rapping and dancing and hip hop. It wasn't so street. It was more of like good good moves that you could just turn out on the dance floor. I feel like they were in this kind of like happy hip hop kind of dance, New Jack Swing, if you want to call it. So I was always appealed to that type of hip hop culture, especially seeing Will Smith, because some people don't understand when Will Smith came on the TV and he was a regular. Like I always felt like I was in the Bel Air Mansion. Like you understand, like seeing him, Jeffrey, Uncle Phil. So it was just so like a cool seeing the young brother, and he's wearing these flashy clothes, talking about rap music. So it left a big impact on me, like a lot of people who grew up in the '90s as well. So imagine to seeing that, then you got to see House Party. Yeah, so I didn't even mention this. Like for me, the first House Party I actually saw when I was, I believe, maybe 8 years old. So yeah, this would have been possibly towards the late '90s. I first saw this as well. And the funny thing was, I used to always get Kid and Will kind of confused. I used to feel like, isn't that the guy in House Party? Well, I was like, okay. When I grew up, I understood that they were different. Awesome. So yeah, so of course, so I mentioned the two leads can and play. If we go into the cast as well, I believe because this film, just like the other films in this series, which I'm going to talk about, it breaks down a lot of like first starters, up and comers as well. For what I know, this is probably like the maybe for me the first time I ever saw Martin as well, because as I mentioned many times in my other reviews, the Martin series, I was one of the ones who saw it late. Like I was in my late teens when I saw Martin's, whereas I had a head start with watching The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So I had seen House Party, I had seen Do the Right Thing, I had even seen Boomerang, of course, Big Mama's House, Blue Streak, um, many of the Bad Boys, of course, with Will Smith. I seen Martin Lawrence in those movies. Then I saw Martin because for whatever reason it came very late in the United Kingdom as well. So Martin, of course, I believe he's one of like the rawest comedians as well. I've always said like a lot of the comedians have their errors that they dominate. Yeah, I've always considered Martin Lawrence like as a raw type of comedian. I believe, especially in the '90s, he dominated. Just like as you could say, I don't know if Kevin Hart's the one, but like 2010s, you could possibly say that was his era. Maybe to the 2000s either belonged to maybe Chappelle or Chris Rock. Then the 90s hands down belonged to Chris Rock's. 80s was Eddie Murphy, but I believe Martin Lawrence for me, and I'm sure some people agree in this, he possibly sort of took the torch from Eddie, especially when it came to TV. Because before Martin, like Eddie was on SNL and he was just killing it, and because he was just so charismatic and he became this superstar, he made that transition to movies very early. And once Eddie Murphy left, that kind of void was there for like who will be the new like black entertainer, that new kid on the block, you could say. And Martin Lawrence, I believe, took that role for a guy who was having his own TV series, hosting Def Comedy Jam, and appearing in movies, blockbuster movies such as Bad Boys. He was doing a phenomenal job, and it's really nice to see the kind of early beginnings of his career in this, where he plays Bilal. And Bilal is pretty much like the sidekick, you could say, to get and play. He's the DJ, who basically has bad breath in this. He doesn't really get any luck with the girls. Maybe in the sequel he does as well, but basically as I said, he plays like with Kid and Play. He's like the sidekick to them as well, and Martin does very well as well. What's so amazing is it's the first time you see Martin, and who I'm going to talk about next, Tisha Campbell, who plays Sydney. Sydney. So, of course, if you this is the first time you saw Martin Lawrence and Tisha Campbell, and 2 years after the first house party, they went on to star in the Martin series. I cannot say how much that this movie influenced the Martin series from the color, even the photo that I've just put there, the color presentation, the fashion, the music. It was actually Kid and Play who did the intro for the Martin and Martin as well. So even if you just look at the intro of Martin when it shows him in his different characters and they put that color palette, it's the same stuff that he used in House Party as well, that funk and that jazz of those like colors in there as well. So the impact of House Party directly influenced Martin TV series as well. So it's really cool seeing Martin and Tisha Campbell in this. And the funny thing is they both appeared in Boomerang as well, but they never had scenes together as well. So it's nice seeing them here. Sydney, Tisha Campbell's character, it's funny because I always say Kid and Play pretty much play this house. In some ways, it feels like maybe this is how Sydney, Tisha Campbell's personality was like because she in this. It's funny because I'll even mention as well AJ Johnson, who's played by sorry, Shireen, who plays AJ Johnson. Ain't gonna cut out any we ain't gonna cut out any audio. Shireen plays AJ Johnson plays Shireen as well. It's like one girl was made specifically for play, and one girl was made specifically for kid as well. And I don't know if the director done this intentionally, but he made the darker one who was kind of more like plays kind of style or as well. Uh, AJ Johnson's character, she was very like again confident. She wanted to kind of fool around with these guys, and from what you can see in this movie, she was the object of a lot of guys' attention as well. The darkest skin, the chocolate, the very sweet the juice. He was more of like what the guys were attracted to. And then Terrain, sorry, Sydney, played by Tisha Campbell, she was more of the gentle that sort of character that was very much like Kid as well. So I don't know if anyone's mentioned it, but I think specifically they made these characters kind of like the girls were basically kind of reflections of like Kid and Play. Shireen basically reflection of Play, same complexion, same kind of stuff, same kind of narcissistic behavior. Whereas like Sydney was very similar to Kid of that gentle both versions. Don't tell anybody. And yeah, they were just yeah, and Ozzy, I think she did a fabulous job. What I did research is that Tisha Campbell and AJ Johnson, they did a lot of the choreographing for the dances. So all those dances, the sweet moves that you see in the house party, they actually performed a lot of those steps as well. That one, two, a lot of those dances as well. And of course, Kid and Play were already professional dancers, professional like break dancers. So, like having these two, that's what worked. That's why it works so well in this first movie because, as I've told extensively in my house party free review, is as the movie started to move on, they started to forget less about the dancing, and that's what a lot of people gravitate in this first movie with is the dancing, this funky dance, and also the cool dance music. So it's really cool that they made this the predominant part of this movie. So those are the four main characters. You could say I wouldn't even say the supporting characters. Those are four main characters. Supporting characters. You have full force, who again they invest. They have some music like in there. They're basically like the bullies, who are basically like trying to stop kid from from getting to this party and just like they have an altercation in school where oh, a classic scene where they find the restaurant and a famous line, I smell something, I smell something. There it is. I smell. I smell something, I smell something, I smell pussy. And, and they proceed to keep the living daylights out of kid and they just toss his ass on that restaurant. Sorry, the cafeteria as well. So like Fufu's are a great addition in this. It would have been nice to see them more in the sequels after this as well. You also got Chill and Groove, who are played by Chill was played by Daryl, who's goes with your name Daryl Chill Mitchell, and you got Groove played by Dean Allen as well. So if you remember Groove, he was the one who tried to, like, when they were in the party, he's trying to get with Shireen as well. So I'm getting the DJs, but no avail. Play comes in the way and cut floods him as well. So these two were very like comedy highlight of the even for the small scenes they had, they just added to the collection of these young talents as well. And like even just these kids, the little kind of get gag of Chill keeps on bumping into the table. And mine's like DJ, Bilal's DJing at the party, and Chill keeps on bumping into the table, and they actually put that scene again into the house party too. Just those gags just make the film even a greater film than it already is as well. So it's really cool. And a lot of them is kind of people that a lot of people don't even recognize actually appearing this. For example, Stanley. I don't know if anyone's mentioned this. Stanley, who appears in Friday as well. I don't know the actor's name. If anyone knows, Holland Brother as well. He's one of the young brothers who appears in that in the bathroom in the toilet when someone broke the toilet at Play's party, at the house party as well. And also the guy who died, the dude in Martin, who is like the tall gay dude who kept on appearing in many. Not many, I think like in some episodes where Martin was at the DMV, I think it's more when Martin and Gina were having kind of sex, right? um the tool guy who he's actually one of like the guys who helped create the Mayan TV series. He appears in the bathroom as well. So all of these lot were like these young brothers. And just his breakout. You also got the AJ Johnson who sadly passed away. The one with the Jericho who was in Friday. Oh my back! Oh my back! My neck and my back. Yeah, him. He was in this with the Jericho. So when if you remember the scene when Robin Harris comes in and he obliterates. Yes, yes, yes. Rich says he obliterates the whole room of students, a room of like kids and youngins. Yeah, AJ Johnson was the one who got that first to him as well. And oh my God, how could I leave? I saved the best for last. Robin Harris. Whoa, House Party is just standard. It's already a great film. Like I've always said like this is the perfect teen music comedy film as well. What made this film like that iconic epic film that will stand the test of time is definitely the inclusion of Robin Harris. Honestly, Robin Harris. So at this time before had appeared in Mo Better Blues and he appeared in Do the Right Thing, two Spike Lee movies, and he was just some very he was a very notorious comedian for just doing that raw type of humor. He was more of like a mature comedian, and it was sad to know is he was actually supposed to be the host of that comedy jam, and he sadly passed away in the morning. Actually took over the job to host Def Comedy Jam. It would have been interesting to see Robin Harris, even if he wasn't the host, but to appear in Def Comedy Jam. But what can you say about Robin Harris in this movie? Just the scenes of where, what I love so much about Robin Harris in the first film is that you can actually believe that he is actually Kitty's dad in this, which is very strange because even the age wise, kid in this movie was like really late 20s as well. And Robin Harris, I believe when this film finished was maybe 33, 34. Age wise, they weren't too different. But if you see them, kid really looks like a kid. He looks young, like 18, and even play in this first movie. So it was believable when you saw play. Sorry, when you saw Hobbs, Robin Harris's character giving kid like advice about stay away from girls, stay away from these girls, focus on the books. So you're messing around and you're gonna make that same mistake I did. as well. So it was really nice of those serious moments of like when Robin Harris was really encouraging like to really focus and become a man as well. And no, just again dynamite scenes of when uh, when like Kid comes in and Kid gets so as I mentioned before when the bullies will force him up at school and they send the permission slip home. They send the slip home saying like a kid was misbehaving in school. And it's so cool when kid actually has to sneak at home. It reminds me again like Echoes of Will, not trying to get curfew, and he gets home and then they send the home and they were so cool as well. He's like, oh, he doesn't know as well because he knows like if he does find out, if Pops Robin Harris does find out, he's gonna go around him and he cannot go to this party as well. So what's so cool about the original house party is it's a very straight, simple format. It's not like the other ones where I think they tried to add too much new characters. And as I said in my house party free review, like the sex stuff got very, very sleazy. If I have to use the word to describe it, it was very sleazy, just very, very in your face in this one it's such a very simple story. It's pretty much that Play has this party at his parents' house. Let me say house where he stays because his parents left to go outside of the. Again, I'm not completely certain like where it's based. It does look like it's possibly the east, west coast of America. I'm not sure, but his parents leave, and he basically has the house to himself. So he organized this party, and he's basically encouraged like all the kids in his school to come. Kid, of course, wants to be there. He wants to go there. He wants to rap. He wants to make. He wants to impress people there. But Lau's like, yeah, I'm gonna be the DJ, and Play also convinced Rain and Sydney to attend there as well. The problem occurs is, as I mentioned, is because Kid was, you could say, quote unquote, misbehaving in school because of the altercation with Fufu was Pop's grounds him. He said, you ain't gonna be doing any dancing. You're only gonna be dancing like he's stepping in this room as well. So Kid actually sneaks out, and from there, like Pops actually goes to chase him. From there, Kid's trying to make his way to the party, and he takes some detours where Fufu was trying to chase him. He jumps over one fence. He meets this fat black and pounded this like beautiful black nubian woman, and he also jumps into this other place where these seniors are having this outdoor party as well, and then it all leads to the house party, and it's what I love so much about this first film is that the emphasis and the importance remains in the party as well, and it's similar to I think the film that took the most influence of the first house party series was Friday. The film, the setting of it only lasted one day. One day, when the film starts off, it starts around lunchtime at 12, and it finishes around like maybe 12, 1 at the night when Kid gets his ass whooped by Pops. So like with this film, usually I like to explain films like beat for beat, and maybe like in the future I would love to do maybe like a longer beat for beat. But I just want to talk about again my appreciation for this film because again, so much people have reviewed this. It's like sometimes I don't want to retread what everyone's talked about, but it is a very good. What I mentioned about was the soundtrack. So the soundtrack that came out, of course, released same time as movie actually was released in March 9, 19 by Motown Records, and it peaked on the Billboard 200 and went on 20 of top R&B hip hop albums as well. And what I love of the soundtracks, especially from there, was the music videos at that time. They would show scenes that connected with the movie as well. So you in this one, you got a great song by Today, a great R&B song, a great R&B group at this time, and it's like they insert clips from the movies, and it gelled so much with that great music video performance. You also got music from Cool J, Marley Marl, Force MDs, Flavor Flav, many others from Kenny Vaughan, and also I Said Today and UTFO. So pretty much everyone who was hot at this time appeared on this album, shape or form, and also Kid and Play, of course, because they were rap music stars at this time. They were so. some tracks in here as well. And this was the first of like many soundtracks to come because before this Kid and Play had already had their albums Too Hype, and I believe it was Funhouse that came, and I believe Face the Nation came the same year as the first, sorry, the first sequel, House Party 2, as well. So it was a major step up from them from this as well. And the soundtrack is gold. I have this album as well currently, and it's great. All right. So, before I give my final thoughts on this house party, as I said, I gotta talk about the sequels from there. So, house party, because like the impact of this, because at this time, as I said, this came out the same year of the first season of Fresh Prince, and as I've talked about before, the first Prince of Fresh Prince was good, but it just wasn't there yet. It had that similar thing of mine. They were testing a lot of things. Some things clicked, some things didn't. It wasn't really into the season two where it became just like, okay, okay, this is it. This is a legendary tour. Well, so Fresh Prince was very popular. It was very great seeing it, but I don't think the first season was that great, in my opinion. When House Party came out, dude, the first one, this one, it was such a wave storm. If I take like some of the numbers they made, so House Party, let's check it. Yeah, so it opened up in March 1990, and the film opened grossed over 4 million as well, making over 26 million on a 2.5 million budget as well. So keep in mind, this is a time where it was still very strange to see like black people. If you weren't like Denzel Washington and then later on like Will Smith and of course Samuel Jackson, it was still very rare to see like an all black star cast. And for this to make money on that budget, it was a success and it definitely demanded sequels as well. And the good thing is, even it grossed a lot, the reviews were very great, as I said, because for this movie, a lot of the actors in this, from Kid, from Play, from Martin, Tisha Campbell, AJ Johnson, Robin, maybe Robin Harris, you could say, was the most seasoned. But a lot of the actors in this was their first time. This was their first time possibly in front of a camera, first time like in a big movie like this, and they did all right. They did pretty good for the first time as well. And just the combination of the comedy, the music, the dancing, the colors, the fashion, all this combined, you pretty much get the most ultimate comedy music, like music comedy as well. So it's not surprising. And this is a film. It's funny because I've watched like in each decade. I watched in the 90s for the first time, watched in 2000s, 2010s, and of course now we're in the 2020s. It's almost 40 years later, and it never loses a beat. As well, I really appreciate the time and of the fashion as well, and this is just fantastic. So as I said, because of the success, of course, New Line Cinema and the people wanted more. So they made two sequels from the House Party series, which of course they made four, five. I wonder if we even go down that path of route. But the first sequel came out in 1991, which was House Party 2, which is a decent sequel. I've never been the biggest fan of House Party 2. I do love some scenes. I think it's not, you can never touch the original. Then this then House Party 3, which I reviewed, came out in 1994, which definitely I thought that was the end of like the Kid and Play, right? And which is what my film, which I actually think is better than House Party 2, that came out in 1992, is Class Act. Class Act, which was not done by New Line Cinema, it was done by Warner Brothers, and I really, really dig that film. It was really nice seeing Kid and Play in a different chain of events, like kind of like a different main, different characters, different story, different production. It was really cool. So I really could put Classic close to the first House Boy, and I will be doing reviews on those one respectively as well. But other than that, like I've always given this a perfect score. Like I see no problems with the first House Party. Even just stuff like because a lot of people look at movies around this time, the early 90s, and they'll think like it's dated. I want to say like it's dated. maybe camera mistakes and all this. The first house party on is one of those things that I can't really see anything wrong. Like I don't see any like imperfections or maybe they could have changed this as well. Nothing ever comes to mind. And I think what was so good and eloquent with the first house party is it's just pure enjoyment. From the moment when you see that first scene of just like the music's playing, boom, 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 it's playing in the house and the house is moving, it's rocking, and then you see just what I used for the photo, the house party there. It just has this positive when you see this movie, and it lasts from the moment for 1 hour, like 20 or so minutes as well. So it's a fantastic movie. I think anyone who has the first house party is a fantastic movie. Man, honestly you don't know what to say sometimes. Like some of my favorite scenes definitely is when Robin Harris comes in and he obliterates those kids. We have the wrong value. Follow through. Um, especially like I love the kid and play versus the girls battle as well. I thought it was really cool. Because what I love when you see house parties like this, it's like this is the house parties how it should be like. It's not this what I love about the first one. It didn't have any like crazy stuff of like orgies or like drinking yourself, but you can't walk again. Well, it did happen to Groove, but as I said, the focus was mainly on the party. And when you saw like Kid bust a move, doing that kick step, and the girls were like coming back at them, it was just magic. It's just some great scene. You have these young brothers and sisters just having fun, and it's amazing. And again, another scene I love is the rap battle as well. As I said, it was pretty on the MC Hammer, Vanilla Ice. Was it Will Smith? I can play. You could possibly say even maybe Heavy D as well. Chris Cross maybe came there, but I'm saying of the pioneers as well. These were like some of the first ones who were rapping and dancing. And Kid and Play could rap. I feel like sometimes they're underrated because they get put in that hip hop category, but seeing them rap in that party as well, it's almost magic as they're dancing. This is a movie, if you haven't already, you have to definitely see it. It's a must watch. What are you waiting for? I've given it 5 out of 5 stars, 100%. Almost like a perfect film as well. I've watched it 30 years from now, and hopefully I can show it to my kids someday. As well. How the high top bass and dancing was in the early 90s as well. So, of course, you've heard my thoughts on the original House Party directed by Reginald Hudlin, starring Kid and Play. All right, so appreciate anyone who stayed tuned to listen to this, and yeah, it's definitely stay tuned. We'll definitely look to do a review on the second House Party 2, that came out in 1991. So till then, folks, and just remember, money never sleeps, and neither do I. Ain't gonna hurt nobody.